Can a dolphin and an albatross have a relationship together? Bringing in the zoological expert on the topic, John Cowan. John, kia ora. Thank you for your time today.
Kia ora. Yes, I would have to say probably biologically there's all sorts of interspecies problems there,
There are.
and possibly some Old Testament prohibitions. But
Although they're both into seafood. So think of what they have in common, John.
okay, all right. Well, I would say that dolphins and albatrosses can have a relationship
Okay.
depending on how deep the albatross is prepared to dive and how high the dolphin is willing to leap up into the air.
Wow. Yeah.
The degree to which they're prepared to enter each other's world. Now, this is an illustration that I picked up from my friend Renier Greff. I can't claim to have thought of that idea myself.
Hmm.
But in thinking about it, I've known lots of albatrosses and dolphins who get on just fine. Couples who seem to have no overlapping areas of interest.
Oh,
They
yeah.
live in almost separate worlds. One might be into, say, sport and business, and their partner's involved in church and music, and
Yep.
and yet somehow they were drawn to each other. Opposites do attract, and they become a couple. And then when they create a family, and so they have a huge overlapping zone of interest in their children. But the thing is that enough?
I
And will
think
their
we
relationships? Yeah.
have we accidentally stumbled into the plot of Little Mermaid. I don't know. Again, a seafood
I was
metaphor.
thinking of that
Yeah.
because I was thinking about how it's a bit sad because one of the secrets about dolphins and albatrosses getting along is let the dolphin be a dolphin, let the albatross stay flying. If you try and drag the albatross into your watery world, you're going to drown it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to haul the dolphin out into the dry, it's going to desiccate and die pretty
Mm.
quickly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and so trying to change your partner to be more like you, doomed to fail and probably cruel,
Yeah.
and sacrificing your own individuality on the altar of pleasing someone, that's robbing your partner as well as yourself of what you could be. And so, this is a challenge, though. I admit, if couples are very, very different in their outlooks and interests, that's a challenge because probably the best predictor of success in long-term relationships is compatibility,
Hmm.
a similarity in outlook and views on matters of faith and politics and shared interests and things. That's a very good um, foundation for a good relationship. But
Although
the thing is,
love can ignore the statistics, right? I mean, we all know the couple where we think, oh gosh, that'll never work. That
that's
that
right.
have their relationship has outlasted many others, perhaps.
Absolutely. I mean, statistics are a good descriptor. They're not necessarily a good predictor.
Mm.
And so, yeah, the statistics are in favor of relationships that have a lot in common.
Yep.
But I know that opposites can attract and you can stay in love and you can stay together, but it just requires a huge investment, or at least a modest investment, of being willing to dive or leap, being willing to dive down into the partner's interests, leap up into what captures their imaginations. It requires gracious and intentional willingness to enter your partner's world. But
Mm.
I don't mean necessarily participating in it.
Yep.
If you're into rally driving, hauling your poor partner into your car and making them navigate while you hoon around back roads at great speed, that's going to lead to divorce.
Yep.
And, I don't know how long I would survive at a quilting class before I started signing up for dating apps. It would, you don't have to necessarily totally immerse yourself into their world. It's a leap, it's a dive. It means taking an interest.
Yep.
It means quizzing them about it. It means encouraging them into it. It means changing your plans occasionally to facilitate their participation in these things. And it's amazing how disparate you can be in interests, involvements, and life. And I speak from experience because Naomi and I do have very, very different interests and things. And we, I think, generously take an interest in each other's worlds,
Yep.
but we don't possibly overlap in our interest very much at all. One of the things we have done is trying to develop things that we do like in common. Cycling's been one of those things. We
Hmm.
love it, getting out together on our bikes. going on caravanning holidays. We had a fantastic, just 24 hours away in the caravan over the weekend. Fantastic. And so, and making sure that we have dates and do things together and spend time together and all sorts of things like that. Because I am terrified of a thing that I saw in the movies ages ago. It was a horror film. It wasn't really a horror film. It was meant to be a comedy. Something about Schmidt, where
Oh,
this
yes.
old guy
Yeah.
is, he's there and he's living with his wife, and he wakes and he sort of sits up in bed and stares across at his wife in the bed and thinks, who is this old woman who lives in my house?
Yeah.
And that haunts me, this idea that you can become strangers, that you can wave the kids away as they go off flatting and then look at each other and go, who is this person who lives in this house with me? And so I think part of the secrets of this staying together
Yeah.
is endlessly discovering each other. Something which I think is at the heart of all healthy relationships, including with your kids, assuming that there is still more to learn, more to admire, more to love about this person.
And I think that's the advantage of having different interests, that if you are both into exactly the same things, if your worlds overlap so completely, that I suppose some of the mystery disappears, because you're having a relationship with a male or female version of yourself, essentially. But when it is the love between the albatross and the dolphin, there is a continued sense of mystery and exploration, as long as there's an equal amount of leaping, if you get my drift, John.
And
that
diving,
one's
yes.
not doing all the leaping and the other one's not doing any diving. There needs to be some reciprocal arrangement there, and putting each other's needs first, and taking a genuine interest in each other people's interests, I think.
I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked in my thinking then. I was starting to think, am I the albatross or am I the dolphin? Hairless and blubbery. Yeah, I think I've worked out which one I am.
Yeah. Possibly. I just don't. I don't think I've got the energy to be an albatross personally.
No.
But yeah, and possibly the sense of humour of a dolphin. But we won't go into that.
Encouragingly, I think that isn't albatrosses, don't they form long-term relationships that last for decades? So there you go. There's a further little analogy to throw into this pile of analogies that I've been stacking on top of each other.
I'm also a slight distraction. I'm thinking of what a crossbreed between an albatross and a dolphin would look like. It's reasonably ugly.
That looks like a challenge for some AI. There's some listener, get on AI, get on Midjourney and generate that image and send it into Andrew. I'm sure you'll find
that'd be good. 8168 keyword Rhema. John, always a pleasure to chat, and thank you for your insight and the perspective that you bring. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.